Hey guys, Dan Watson, and I want to talk to you about off-camera monitors because it's something that's changed a lot for me over the last couple of years. So if you had asked me like a year or two ago if you needed an off-camera monitor, it was not something that I was actively using unless I was in a big shoot or had to be off camera for some reason. But now a lot has changed, both in terms of the kinds of monitors that are out there, the features that they're using, prices, and then a lot of the usability and why I now incorporate one into almost all of my shoots. So I want to talk to you about why you should probably think about getting and using an off-camera monitor. So if you are looking for a monitor, the Desview R7 is one that I just got in and I'm really loving this thing. So for most of you, you're probably looking for something that gives you a lot of those high-end specs and great quality to where you can use it for just about anything, but it's going to be a little bit more inexpensive. I think it's a good place to start for a first monitor, and that is what this Desview R7 is. It gives you just amazing quality and it's really budget friendly. So I kind of walk you through some of the things that I like about it and what you should look for if you're looking for a monitor. So for this one, my favorite aspect is that I can control everything via hardware or software. So it has 3 hardware buttons up at the top. These can be custom function to do other things, or they can be used to access the menu. You have a scroll wheel as well that can be used to tune the volume, or you can press it to access the menu and do a lot of other things and interact with this monitor. You have a power button that will also lock that touch screen, because again, this is fully touchscreen, so I can access any of these settings by just swiping in, controlling all of my functions just by that, clicking on it and going back out. So this is a fully touchscreen monitor that can access all of my settings via touch or hardware. A couple other key aspects on the hardware is that we have an HDMI input, but also an HDMI output. Now this is great for going to like another monitor to be used for playing back somewhere else, or if you had to go to maybe a wireless version to access it somewhere else, we could use that external out for that. Now I did try to hook in my Atomos recorder into this and it did not work. So for whatever reason, it was not taking a recording signal for this, but I did hook up another monitor and that worked fine. So hooking up another monitor to this will just give you enhanced flexibility, and a lot of other monitors do not have that. You also have a DC in, so if you want to power this from something other than batteries. However, it is fully powered by Sony NP batteries, and those are super easy to find. I've got a ton of them, so those are great to have around. And then on the bottom, we also have a USB slot, which you're going to need for a couple of things, and then a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, so you can use this for monitoring. So if you have either a camera that does not have a headphone, or you want to be able to monitor this remotely, you can send one cable HDMI straight to the monitor and plug in your headphones straight to the monitor and run things that way. That way, whoever's operating the camera itself doesn't have your headphone jacks plugged in or anything like that. But again, I use these a lot for self-shooting. So even if that's all you're shooting, you'll still really appreciate some of the value of this. So the screen itself is a 1920 by 1200 7-inch touchscreen, and that is way better than what you'll find from pretty much anything else on the market. So a part of it is going to be that brightness. It can go to 1000 nits, and pretty much most other monitors will top out somewhere in the 700 or 500 mark, and most screens on your cameras are going to be well below that. So if you're shooting outdoors at all, this can be a lifesaver, being able to shoot in extremely bright sunny days with 1000 nits of brightness. You have tons of resolution, so everything looks amazingly sharp and detailed on this. It's only 380 grams, which means it's mostly plastic, but that's going to mean that for a 7-inch screen, this is very light. Most 5-inch screens are going to be about that same weight. And if you put kind of a smaller NP 500 series battery on here, then it's going to be a very lightweight option you can take. And again, I don't have any problems with battery life on this. Even with a smaller battery, I can still run it for a couple hours. Another big benefit to this one is that it includes a lot of things in the box. So you are going to get that hot shoe mount or the cold shoe mount for that. And then also in the box, we just have a lot of things that you would normally need to buy separately. So we have an instruction manual case with that. And then we also have HDMI, both micro and mini. And then also we have the DC adapter. So for powering this thing straight from another battery source of power, you can do that right with those included cables. So that kind of takes care of just about anything you need other than a battery, which are very easy to buy, these Sony NP batteries. I'll include a link below for some of my favorites because some of them will start dying after like a couple of months of use. So I'll throw a couple links below to the ones that I use the most that have been very reliable for me. All right, so now that we have that kind of out of the way, let's talk about kind of the main reasons that you're probably going to want to consider using a monitor. And for me, one of the big life-changing moments is especially when I'm shooting here in the studio. I'm shooting more of a flat profile on these cameras, which I can show you before and then after that color grade. And that is allowing me to kind of get the look that I want in here. However, I'm not able to see exactly what that look is going to be like on camera. Well, one thing that is awesome is USB right here. This comes with a USB with a ton of different picture profiles. If you're shooting log, you have all of the different profiles for tons of cameras already loaded on this. So you can just plug this into the camera or into the monitor, load onto the screen itself. That way you don't have to keep carrying around your favorite LUTs, and then those will be automatically applied, or you can apply them anytime that you want to simulate what this might look like with a LUT applied or with a color grade. So I have actually downloaded the one that I will probably be using for this, which is a Nikon grade that I use for inside my studio. And I have also mapped it to one of these hardware buttons. So as soon as I press that button, I can simulate exactly what that is going to look like. Now this might look weird for you because you're actually watching it pre-graded or post-graded and then seeing the graded on here double. So it might not look perfect from the external monitor right here. However, I'm able to get exactly the look that I want with just a single click. So where this really counts is when you're on set and you're shooting flat profiles and it's kind of hard to see where your highlights would normally be once you've got your LUTs applied or things like that. You can absolutely simulate both of those. I like it because I want to see kind of my pre-grade most of the time, but every so often I can just click that and make sure that where I'm probably going to grade this is still looking good for me. So it is extremely good, especially if you're working on kind of a color grade. You can go ahead and throw that LUT on here. If you're buying one of a LUT from somebody, you can try it out in different places, see what you're gonna like on set, see if you need to adjust the colors. Maybe it's too magenta and you need to tune that down. Maybe you've got your color temperature too high. So you can see exactly how that LUT or that look is going to be applied in camera, and then make those settings and adjustments in camera before you start shooting. Another thing that's really amazing to have is going to be features that not a lot of cameras have. And even if they have it, it's kind of difficult to see them on these small screens, and you might not even want to. So for example, zebras can be really annoying for the camera operator shooting, but maybe you want them to kind of quickly appear and then disappear as you're shooting. So one of the great features is I can map zebras exactly to these hardware buttons, so I can change the strength of it just by clicking away and then turn it off. So very quickly I can see exactly what is overexposed. Now there's two ways to use zebras. One is to use them at 100% and kind of see what is probably too overexposed for anything. So I can kind of see that probably some areas of this table are a little overexposed. And the other is you can turn it down to like 70%, and that's what a normal skin tone would reflect. And it can differ by skin tone type. So if you're a little bit darker, you might need to set that value a little bit higher. However, you can kind of simulate where that skin tone should be. So set your zebras to about 70-75%. And then as soon as they start clipping, you'll know that that is the correct exposure for your skin tones. So those are the two ways that I use zebras. Again, being able to quickly navigate through those is awesome. The other big thing is peaking. So I can see exactly what is in focus. Now, most cameras will allow you to see peaking if you're in manual focus only. So, but if you're in autofocus, it can be really hard to tell where the camera is focusing. So with this, I can basically check my camera on the monitor, make sure that everything is focused exactly where I need it to be. And so right now you can see that I am in focus, so I don't have to worry too much about that. But if that camera was not focusing properly, I would never know about it until I were to look at this, because I can only see peaking if I'm in manual focus. Now, the third reason that I've really started to use them is ergonomics. So most of my cameras right now do not have flip screens. I can't see what my camera is outputting. So for me, having something that I can turn around, front face, angle it whatever direction I want. I can use them on gimbals to be exactly where I want my eye level to be focused on. It really gives me another option of ergonomics that I think is a little bit better than most camera monitors. Now, for a lot of other people, you might like some of the features that they entail. So for example, being able to have a lot of your assists right here. So you have waveforms. I can put my luminance waveforms or RGB waveforms. I can tune them to whatever direction I want to be positioned on the monitor. And I can have all of these up and in different positions as I'm shooting, which could be a huge difference for how you are shooting. You have pinch to zoom on here for being able to quickly tell if you're in focus. Again, cameras, some of them have that, but most of them do not do that while recording. So you can be recording on your camera while on here be zoomed in to be able to check critical focus without having to touch the camera. So that's another thing for me on ergonomics, is that I almost never want to touch the camera itself, but being able to very quickly, without touching it, touch my monitor and not have to worry about hardware clicking, because this is a touch screen as well, is a huge benefit for me. So hopefully that's kind of shown you a couple of ways that a monitor can really help your workflow. I'll be hanging out in the comments below answering any of your questions. If you have any, let me know what you guys are shooting with, what monitors you guys are shooting with. I'm always curious to see all the stuff that's going on down there. And then if you haven't picked up a monitor already, check out the Desview R7. Really cool screen for the price, gives you tons of features. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and like, appreciate it, guys. Just released a video on the R4 that's really cool, going into all kinds of features that we have on that camera. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you soon in a new video.